No matter what I said, it never made a difference to them. They continued scamming people for money, lying about needing repairs for the car, or about a medical event that they couldn't afford. And I just had to go along with it if I didn't want to be kicked out of the house. My mother and sister are online scammers. They make posts online about a car crash or an emergency around the house and beg people for money. When people donate, they delete their posts and use the money to buy expensive things they don't need. And I just have to go along with it, or else my mother would punish me for not participating. I once tried to talk some sense into her, but it didn't go very well. Mom? Don't you think it's time to stop asking people for money when we don't need it?
Of course not.
How can you even ask such a thing?
One more word out of you and you'll be living out on the streets.
No matter what I said, it never made a difference to them. They continued scamming people for money, lying about needing repairs for the car, or about a medical event that they couldn't afford. And I just had to go along with it if I didn't want to be kicked out of the house. It continued on for years, until my senior year of high school. We had a new classmate that year, Lauren. She was pretty and seemed nice, but she would miss school half the time, and nobody really knew why. One day I went up and asked her, "Hi, I'm Nate.
I'm Lauren.
Mind if I ask why you miss school so much?"
Well, I have a medical condition. It can be treated, but I have to miss school for that. My family and I want to undergo surgery to fix it. Only
What?
we can't afford it. And our posts online asking for money aren't doing so well. Hardly anyone's even seen them.
When I heard that, I felt a mix of sadness for Lauren and what she was going through, and anger at my mother and sister, who were constantly lying and stealing money from people, and not suffering at all. I made a promise to myself that day that I wouldn't let it go on any longer. As soon as I got home, I gathered all the evidence of my mom and sister's scams and went online. I made a post explaining how everything they needed money for was just a lie. I also asked everyone who donated to instead give their money to Lauren and her family so that she could get her surgery. I'd felt bad for her, and she was the kind of person who deserved the money, not my mother and sister, who had everything they wanted. The next day, the police arrived at our door and arrested my mom and sister. I went down to the police station and gave the officers everything they needed to prove that my mom and sister had been scamming people, and soon after that, they pressed charges against them. My mother and sister went to jail, and Lauren's family got the money they needed for the surgery once everyone got their money back. When she was recovered enough to come back to school, Lauren came up to me.
I know what you did for me and my family. And I have to ask, why?
Well, because you deserve it. My mother and sister didn't deserve to have that money, and they didn't even spend it on anything useful, just expensive items and trips. You and your family needed it so you could be in good health, and I wanted to make sure you got the money. Lauren and I started spending more and more time together after that, and after a few weeks, we started dating. And now with my scammy mother and sister in jail paying for their actions, I couldn't be any happier.